One of the reasons why I suggested bringing snacks, not only to carry on the tradition that Jeremy started, but also to, sort of give back, because Jeremy's not thinking about it. I think sharing, creating, buying, giving food is that kind of, it's like giving a gift. You're giving something of yourself, or, you're inviting people to be with you, really. You're inviting them in, so all of those cultures that their social rituals revolve around food, there's so much to it. But I think it also still goes back to the question of, if you're not part of a church, how do you get together? If you're not part of, I don't want to hang out at a bar because I'm old and I like to talk now, instead of just sort of get my brains bashed in by the music and yell, so it's nice to be able to share food with people, and kind of like what we were talking about last week as far as the practice, the act of giving, and like giving a compliment, giving a gift, and that brings happiness, not only making it, the joy and the happiness and the thought of, when you're making food or preparing it, keeping your energy and your intention in check, because you don't want to push negative vibes into the food that people are going to ingest. But also just the joy of presenting, these are the beautiful dishes that I brought, and this is like all the stuff, and the time that you took to make the brownies that that we like, love, all of
that. Just like love.
Yeah, I mean, it's that whole process in order to bring happiness. I mean, you don't make food for somebody that you don't like, or if you do, I guess I question, why would you make food for somebody that you didn't like? I don't know that I ever have. Possibly as a peace offering. I'm not the best cook, so I usually don't cook for people.
I mean, it could just be because they're, it could be somebody in need at a particular time.
Sure. Yeah.
So, yeah.
For comfort.
Comfort. When we first moved to where we live on Tibbet Road in 1998, I think it was, we got together with several other households. I think there were 6 households. We did this thing called Supper Club. Okay, so twice a week, all of the households would go to one household, and that household would provide food for all of the...
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So how many people are you talking about in 6 households?
When we started it, my daughter was a toddler, okay? And we were the only ones that had a kid at the time.
Okay.
And then we did this for a while.
So that's 13 people to start off with.
Yeah.
6 couples.
Well, there was one guy who lived by himself.
Okay. 12 people to start off with.
12 people to start off with, yeah. And it was so much fun. And we got to know so much about each other. We would share our days, and it was so awesome to be today it's Supper Club, and it's not at my house today. And I can just go home and do whatever, and then at 6:30, I'll walk over to so-and-so's house, and I'll have an amazing meal.
Yeah.
Because they were always really good. And then when it was really fun for us to bake, okay, next Thursday's our turn.
Yeah.
And we had to figure out okay, and we were kind of a pain in the butt too, because we're the vegetarians. There were several vegetarians, but yeah, I think we were the main vegetarians. Both my wife and I were the vegetarians, so they always had to figure it out. And but it was just amazing, and still very close to several of those households. Okay, one moved away. Actually two moved away, but still connected via Facebook. It's just then we started having more kids, and that made things a little more complicated, especially with families that have young kids. It's difficult for us to put a meal together, and but it was just because each house had to have seating for 12, and so we were in actually a different house than I'm in now. We were across the street, and it was a smaller house. And we had to cobble the tables together and bring chairs out from wherever and stuff.
But that was fun.
But it was so much fun.
Style Thanksgiving dinner.
Yeah. Sit where you can gather.
Yeah. And it was I think it was Tuesdays and Thursdays.
Yeah.
Tuesdays and Thursdays, supper club. It was, like I said, it was one of the greatest. It was so awesome. Share a meal, because we talk about our days, and we talk about, somebody having a rough time at work, or just whatever, some people were in school, and they would talk about, what's going on there, and it was just really, really neat. And so,
never heard of something like
so
that.
I'm interested in how you even started the conversation. Do you even remember, how the idea came up?
So, we did this thing called Eco Team.
Okay.
I don't know if you've heard of that. It was, young, idealistic, whatever, new parents, all that kind of stuff. So we did this program called Eco Team. It's like a 6 or 8 week program, and you get together with, a group of people, usually your neighbors, and you study some ecological issue like water use. Okay, and then they have a list of activities that you can do that can, where you can change your behavior basically, or change your activities, I don't know, riding bike or whatever, instead of taking public transportation. So you kind of try to do those, and then you report back to the group the next week and share your experiences, and and kind of learn from each other. So my wife Marianne and I initiated an Eco Team there on the block. So we just kind of went around and started knocking on the door, saying, "Hey, would you like to do an Eco Team thing?" And so we got several people, and so that's how we kind of got to meet some of the folks.
Okay.
And then I don't know if it was one of the Eco Team sessions that talked about food and all that kind of stuff, but we just got to talking and saying, "Yeah, we should get together and do this." Looking back at it now, we all how did we make this work?
Yeah.
How in the world did we make this work? But we did it. It wasn't just a month or something like that. We did it for years.
Wow.
And
through the seasons.
Yeah, and there was some times where a family was like, you know what, our household was like, we just had a rough week and we can't do it this week. And so maybe somebody would trade with them, they could, or whatever, all that kind of stuff. Or if they were just they had to go to whatever, they had a PTO meeting that night or something like that, they would scoop up whatever and you would have it at your door or whatever.
Oh, that's cool.
Night. So you would have whatever, it was just, and so we got to taste all these different cooking styles and, what different people's food preferences are, and, it was great because the kids got to try different things, other than what we would normally cook at home, and stuff, so.
And it challenges kids to also socialize too.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's mostly adults. I think it's really important for kids to learn how to be around adults.
Right. So we still continue to have, I love the fact when you guys come over for the teeter. I love hosting people over. I love that was one of the ideas when we moved into that house, because we liked the space and liked the idea of how it would function to host and all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, I just the Whites next door. They'd probably come over for dinner, or we probably do a joint thing once a month or something.
That's cool.
Where just I don't know. So I loved to share food
Yeah.
with people, and because you're right, it's such a throughout history it's been. I mean, look in the religious traditions. I mean, the breaking of the bread and the Last Supper and stuff like that. These things were made to be these sacred acts. That you do with others and in community with others. It's called communion.
Right.
And all that stuff. So.
Yeah, you put down your weapons,
Yeah.
you don't discuss business, you don't fight, wars don't happen over dinner, business deals don't happen over dinner, they might happen because of dinner, but not during, it's...
It's a humbling experience, humbling in a very pleasant.
Well, you're
it's like it puts
vulnerable.
everybody kind of at the same.
Literally the same level.
Yeah.
And you are a little bit vulnerable in that, so again, it's no secret that I have weird emotional issues. I'm empathetic about the strangest things. One of the first things that I learned about myself, as far as my overly empathetic thing, I cannot bear to watch somebody be alone. It makes me so sad, it breaks my heart. So all these business people that I'm sure actually want to be alone in a restaurant, I have to actually strap myself down to not go over and sit next to them and be like, I'm so sorry that you're sitting alone. But I think, your vulnerability, you're focused on providing sustenance to yourself and feeding yourself, and there's a part of you that's, all of your instincts are focused here. So when you're talking about from an evolutionary standpoint, eating it's very hard to digest safely and healthily when you're looking over your shoulder. You maybe put yourself in a corner and eat to make sure that you aren't going to get attacked from behind. And we still have some of that. Sort of, those instincts. And so relating to then food and whatnot, there was an article that I read, and I'm going to read to you some of it. I'm going to paraphrase. Where there was a study done by William Hoffman. This is a study done in 2013. William Hoffman is an assistant professor at the University of Chicago. And he did a study that was published in the Journal of Personality on whether or not self-control makes your life better. Research demonstrates that people with higher levels of self-control are happier over both the short and the long run. Higher levels of self-control are correlated with educational, occupational, and social success. It was found that the people with the greatest levels of self-control avoid temptation rather than resist it at every turn.
So self-control, was there an exact causal kind of due to the fact that you do have a higher income and better education that leads to self-control?
So the main article that I read just basically sort of described impulses and tendencies and things like that. But I actually dug into his study specifically. The key predictor was called trait self-control. The study consisted of 3 experiments designed to see how happiness was affected by trait self-control over the both short and long run. The first test had 414 subjects deciding how well certain statements described them. For example, I do certain things that are bad for me if they're fun. And then filling out a report explaining how happy they were at the moment and how satisfied they were with their lives overall. The subjects' responses hinted at a correlation between not only self-control and life satisfaction, but also between self-control and positive effect, which includes positive emotions, sentiments, and experiences experienced on a daily basis. The second experiment, which had fewer participants, had the test subjects carry around specifically programmed smartphones, which would ask them questions at random times to determine if they were currently experiencing a desire. If they answered yes, more questions would follow. These questions focused on the details of the desire, how intense it was, if the subject acted on it, if that desire conflicted with another goal they had, and how much stress it caused them. The results reinforced the notion that people with higher trait self-control had more positive and fewer negative emotions overall. Inspired by the related finding that the desire-goal conflict leads to substantial stress in people with low self-control, researchers investigated the phenomenon further with a third experiment. The last test asked participants to answer questions about 3 regular goal-desire conflicts in their lives. The questions included inquiries into how severe the conflicts were, how often they occurred, and the morality of the choices available to them. They were then asked to fill out a survey on their life satisfaction and self-control tendencies. The results surprised the researchers, as people with higher levels of self-control reported fewer desired goal conflicts overall than those with lower self-control. The conflicts they did face were also less likely to be conflicts of choosing a virtuous option or an enjoyable vice. It was also found that when the conflicts did arise, people with higher self-control were better at choosing the better option than those with lower self-control, as one might expect. And so, let's see here. So the author suggests it's presumably impossible to organize one's life so that goals never conflict. Sure enough, none of our participants said they'd never experienced goal conflicts or balked at listing 3 recurrent ones. But someone with good self-control can apparently manage his or her life so that these conflicts arise relatively infrequently. These findings provide further support for the view that good self-control facilitates managing one's life so as to avoid and minimize problems. Try removing distractions from your workspace, getting rid of the fattening food in your cabinet, not walking past the impulse purchase items rather than trying to resist or the urge to procrastinate, eat poorly, or buy things you don't, or buy things that you don't indefinitely. I feel like it's missing a word. Another idea is to view self-control as a choice of a pattern of behavior rather than a series of decisions for separate actions. Rather than seeing your decision not to smoke as one event, view it as part of the pattern you have chosen. You are a person who does not smoke. Our idea of self-disciplined people as self-denying and unhappy is false. They're happier than the rest of us. By better avoiding impulses, choosing virtue over vice, and balancing their desires and goals, they have more good moods and higher levels of life satisfaction. Anybody can improve their self-control by taking simple steps today. If you change the intention and that the mindset is that I'm going to make better decisions that are more healthy, more mindful, we're looking at the long term, and not just thinking about, will this make me happy right now? Here's where this conflicts with some notion in yoga and also Buddhism, is staying in the present. Right now it would make me happy. Yes. But all of these thoughts and decisions, there's a whole host of other things that have to go along with that. You know, when I say that I'm going to live in the present, live right now, the problem is, the reality is that all of life is a series of moments. And the minute that I say I'm going to live in the moment, that moment's gone. There is no,
Doesn't stop.
Right, exactly. So it keeps going. So I thought that was an interesting article talking about just self-discipline being at least one key to being a happier person.
Every action is a choice.
Yeah.
You know, and if you get that mindset, if you kind of train yourself with that thought, you know, like where I work, there's always sweets and very gluttonous sweets, which, you know, to each his own. But I am actively thinking, okay, if I go and reach for that, is that the choice I want to make right now?
Because sometimes it's a lazy choice, right?
Right.
I'm hungry, it's there, and it's easier than
I deserve it. I have
whatever.
it in the morning. Da, da, da.
Yeah, right.
But if you
Although
really-
we are going to eat those
Yeah,
breakfasts.
and I saved up for the evening. I knew we were going to do something.
But I think that, you know, again, we were talking about this last week. Choices, I think my choices in life have changed as I've aged. Life when I was 20, I don't think I cared about, well, tomorrow even, you know? I'm going to drink all this alcohol tonight. Forget about the hangover. Forget about whether or not I can make the class. Didn't matter.
Well, that was a choice, and we
Yeah.
shared, at least for me, that was a choice to pass on.
Right.
So I didn't have to cook.
Right.
That was a choice I actively made. It's not a choice I want to make now. Like, I don't want to pass out. I'm ready for bed when it's time to go to sleep, but what a treat to be alive and awake and with it. And
Right. And enjoying the morning, enjoying the day. Yeah. Not having to seek out something greasy.
yeah, late at night, early morning.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that, it's interesting thinking back about decisions that I made. Bad decisions, I don't know. I don't want to say good or bad. I could have made better decisions, sure. But I think that it's sort of like, having self-control, let's taking the argument of the article. Having self-control in the moment would certainly have made me happier, a higher level of well-being. But, I would argue also that there was something that needed to, kick me up a little bit to even feel like I was happy enough even to make that good decision or to have that good self-control. And I don't feel that didn't come until a little bit later in life. I don't know that let's take one example. I don't know that I ever appreciated the feeling of the morning enough to even recognize that perhaps if I didn't drink and stay out too late Friday night, maybe I could actually appreciate Saturday morning. I had never appreciated a Saturday morning. This quiet, the stillness at 5 o'clock in the morning. The sound of the crickets and the breeze and the way that everything feels different at 4 a.m., 5 a.m. So, having not been in the experience yet, I don't even know that having self-control, I don't even know that it was in my head.
I had so many things, so many different thoughts. I don't know which one to chase down. I definitely feel like, self-control is a good thing in general. But I think there's sometimes it's nice just to let go, and not, and that, I know that I can on occasion drink, and I'm doing it with friends and having a fun time and it's social and, and I know at the time I'm like, probably don't feel this in the morning, but it's, it's enjoyable at the time,
Sure.
You know what I mean? And, I'll wake up and want some tater tots or something, or
Yeah.
bucket donuts or whatever, something greasy, but, that's not what I want to do every day or every Friday even or whatever.
But the socializing was worth it.
But yeah, socializing, it's just, fun and and again, I'm not trying to promote drinking or whatever, but there are certain, you do relax when you're,
Oh, and I'm not anti-drinking.
and it's like,
There's just a difference in the intention.
conditions that break away and you can
Sure.
be silly and fun and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Obviously you can get out of control and be really hurtful if you're not doing it in a responsible way or whatever.
But that's also the difference, the intention behind what you're doing.
Yeah, if you're trying to escape, that's
Right.
that's
Right.
that's not healthy. But
Right.
even when you don't actively choose, that's a choice almost.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
Yeah, let somebody else do it. Let somebody else make the decision, like where we're going to dinner tonight.
Right.
Well, you just chose to
Right.
give up your choice.
Or if you're like, what am I going to do tonight? You're sitting there, and you end up not doing anything. That's a,
Yeah.
that's a choice. You just decided to sit there like a bumble or whatever.
Yeah. Right.
So,
It's a weird thing.
My God, we should go
I know, the chocolate in them, right?
Yeah,
Chips
it's the
and
dark
Morton.
chocolate.
Good choice.
You know, and I'm not a sweets person, and I'm not really a chocolate person, but brownies, they're a whole different beast. Brownies are their own kind of specialness. Yeah.
You know, at first when you said about self-control, before you talked more about the study, immediately I thought, oh, even though I consider myself to have self-control, but I thought, oh, I'm so trying to get away from self-control, like it's been so rigid all my life that, but it's funny how the idea of self-control can also be too constricting sometimes.
Well, and I think that's one of the interesting things that I like. That's what I liked about the article, though, is that it wasn't about. It's not about being on a strict diet, for example. It's setting yourself up to make consistently better decisions, more mindful or something.
Yeah,
It's an
that's what I was saying. I
awareness.
was going to say mindful.
Yeah, and an awareness. You're just to be
Right.
aware.
Right. You know, and if it becomes too stressful, and that was even part of what they were saying with one of the studies was the question, like on the app, it said, "Are you making a decision right now?" Yes. Okay. What kind of decision is this? This is a big decision. Is there stress involved with this decision? And I would argue that, you know, okay, let's stick with the example of a diet. One of the reasons why most diets fail is because they are too hard and you don't fit them into your lifestyle. I mean, anything like that you want to sustain needs to be part of the lifestyle. It's a lifestyle change, and that's what, you know, deciding to, you know, to lose weight. It's not just no more soda. It's the whole thing. Like, you're now deciding, if I want to be healthier, I need to stop drinking soda. I probably need to exercise, so I'm going to try to, let's say, bike. You know, ride my bike. And then if I choose to ride my bike, so let's say this is, you know, that's what I'm doing right now. Got this new space. I'm going to ride my bike here. Well, that means that now I need to give myself an extra 15 minutes, actually, let's say 20 minutes, to pack my backpack. And you know, I mean, you bike everywhere. It's a whole lifestyle change to bike everywhere. But it's a healthier decision. So anytime you're making those healthier decisions, like I remember 20-some years ago when I made the decision to stop eating at Wendy's. Okay, so then that changed my entire, I mean, I had a schedule around eating at Wendy's. You know, I would get the number 4, the spicy chicken combo. And, I mean, there was a whole thing around it. And so taking out that one piece, whew, that changed everything. Well, now where am I going to go at that time? What am I going to eat? The change in finances because of that. And so you are setting yourself up, instead of saying, I'm going to be on a strict diet. I'm going to remove things from my life. Yeah, but when you take things out, you got to put something back into its place that's doable, that's reasonable, something that you can actually, that you feel good about. Because if you're taking something out and that's creating a stressor.
That's all you're going to think about.
Yeah.
I'm missing this, I'm missing this, I'm missing this, I'm missing, you know, and so it's just like, and so then you like inevitably break down and, you know, yeah,
Right.
or John a gallon of ice cream or whatever,
Sure.
you know, something.
Right.
So,
You know, that's why they make it O'Doul's, for example. You know, if you're going to go to a party and everybody else is drinking, and part of that whole thing is like that social thing of just having something in your hand.
right.
You know, just being able to like do this motion is part of the whole social aspect. So have a non-alcoholic beverage. You know, you just fill it with something else. And like quitting smoking, I can at least speak for Erin. You know, part of it was not only getting over the chemical dependence, but then the habit. You know,
First thing in the morning.
Yeah, it was, okay, so his statement was, if I quit smoking, that means I have to stop waking up, stop going to the bathroom, stop eating, like all these things, because everything revolved around when he was going to have the next cigarette. So then he changed his habit, and then so he got e-cigarettes. So now he had this thing that he held in his fingers that was the same weight as a cigarette. So he paid, I don't know if he paid more, but he paid different for the ones that were really cigarette-like. And then there was the oral fixation of this thing, just that motion. And then it turned into Twizzlers, and then it turned into Swedish fish. All those things. So, yeah.
It's powerful. I mean, it's so,
Yeah.
those things, habits, just so.
And so you try to fill in with a good habit.
Right.
But I mean, celery Twizzlers.
Carrot sticks.
Yeah, right. Carrot sticks, right. Yeah. But those are the types of things of replacing it with a good option. And it's hard. And I would also argue that making good decisions, having self-control, and all of those things, including the journey for wellness and happiness, I think you cannot do it alone. I think it requires a support system.
Yeah, so it's been a real challenge, speaking to not doing stuff alone. It's been a real challenge this past week and stuff of doing my home yoga practice. Okay?
Yeah.
Because when I schedule or, with my body and I'm supposed to be there at 6 o'clock, for a class, for whatever reason, I can get myself up and get there and all this kind of stuff. Okay. But at home, okay, and I want to practice. I know that yoga makes me feel good. I know my day goes so much better. But I'm just like, I can sleep in just a little more because I'm just gotta go upstairs. It's not like I have to get on my bike and ride somewhere. And it's been like the first day I got up there at 6:05. Next day it was like 6:10. I think this morning it was like 6:17 or something.
But you've done it.
I've done it. Yeah, I got up there and but still, it was just like I keep I can just and so it's really the fact of when I know that there's a space, there's this studio, there's this class, there's people not depending on me to be there, but expecting me to be there. Whatever, it's just it's just a lot more accountable. And the other thing too, I think, is that when I go to a class in the morning, I don't have to think because you're telling me what to do.
Right. Yeah.
And in my home practice, I'll be like, okay, now what?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Do another sun salutation. Okay.
And then when you're teaching, you have to be on.
Yeah, you have to be. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So yeah. Can't wait to have a 6 o'clock class.
I know. Yes, me too. I'm excited.
So, but yeah, it's but I also feel like I've more whatever. I feel more comfortable in that space and
your home space.
Yeah, my own. I really didn't practice much at home because I was always going once. And then on the weekends I would go to do my teacher training or yoga classes on Yo High or whatever. So I really had to practice at home. So it's nice to be able to get that space nice and whatever christened, if you will, or something.
Yeah.
So that was good.
I think it's cool that you kept up with the practice. I've done other things.
Yeah.
Yesterday, I thought,
Well,
he has done.
Yeah, it's been I probably get 35 minutes or something. It's mostly, probably.
Good for you.
But that's, it's, I just, I know that my day will not be the same if I don't get some yoga in, it's just I can been an interesting learning experience for me.
That'd be an interesting Facebook question.
How would you
Just to
phrase
see,
it?
I don't know how you word it, but to see how many people kept up with their practice.
Oh, yeah. Well, I know I haven't because all my mats are here. Like literally every single mat that I use is here. But yeah. So it's typically when I've taken a vacation and shut down the studio, there are probably maybe 1 or 2 people who actually continue their own practice at home. Yeah, it's people come to a studio. It's interesting the concept of accountability. Like nobody is angry. I don't want to say nobody cares if you show up because those aren't the right words. But like class doesn't stop. I mean, well, maybe 6 a.m. class if Jeremy doesn't show up because he's usually the only one at 6 a.m. So maybe if Jeremy didn't show up, perhaps, but I would still be there. I would do my own practice. But I mean, people recognize when you don't go to class. If you're a regular, and that's one of the nice things of becoming a regular at the studio is people know when you're not there. But people who come to yoga studios are going for any number of reasons. As Jeremy said, somebody's telling you what to do, so you're going through the motions. Probably in the morning, you're probably more just going through the motions in an evening class where you can probably put your mind in a little bit differently. It's a different intention. People go for just being in a space with other people. You're not expected to talk. Sometimes you're not allowed to talk. So it is really interesting why people choose to go to a yoga class as opposed to practice on their own. I practiced on my own for years and years. And I liked it better than a class, but I also only ever went to big classes where I was a member. Some people like that. Some people don't. It's a different feel, but yeah, I mean, having other people, it's like a support system. You've got a little family. My running group knows when I'm not there. It's nice. I think that's the kind of thing that you need. I would argue, and maybe that's something just to think about, that I would argue that it would be very challenging to say that you could be happy alone. Even though the argument is nobody else can make you happy, your happiness cannot rely on somebody else.
We're social.
But yeah, we are social beings, yeah. Yeah. I think the support group, just even seeing somebody else's face can make you happy. Just being, you can feel, Erin and I have talked about this, like you can feel when I come home, I can tell whether or not he's there. You can just feel the energy in the house. You can feel the energy, the difference when somebody's not there, when, like when we lost one of our cats. You can feel there's a different energy and things like that. Have you felt a difference?
Oh yeah. The house.
Yeah.
Since Oscar.
Yeah. I mean, everybody asks
there is a void.
Yeah.
I mean, I can feel it, there's a lot less hair. He seems shedding more.
Yeah.
That's sad.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely, I mean, yeah, it's still just like, what is, oh yeah, he's not here.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, what is that feeling?
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, thank you all for being the first in the new space. And bringing the food, and thank you for sharing your food. Thank you so much for watching or listening. Please click like or subscribe and hop on over to the Patreon page, patreon.com/yoga happiness. I always have more content on the Patreon page, links to articles that we discuss or videos and more to the story and so forth. The Patreon
information and pages are always going to be free. The content is free. However, in order to continue making more content, better content, if I could spend more time on this, the production value would be better. Maybe I would have better equipment. I would like to provide yoga content of all kinds in many different ways, because we consume information and learn in many different ways. So to that, I would like to thank my Patreon patrons for helping me on my quest to bring additional yoga knowledge to people. Athne, Chris, Jeremy, Lauren, Marianne, Nancy, and Vince, thank you so much for your support. If any of you are interested in joining, please come to our new location, 3630 North High Street. Yoga talks are every Wednesday from 7:30 to 8:30 p.m. The more the merrier. I would love to have everybody in class, and you do not need to be on camera. As you can see, not always are there people other than myself. If you don't mind it, it would be great to have other faces on the screen. So have a wonderful rest of your week, and I'll talk to you next time.